And for more on this, we're going to bring in Bob Bianchi now. He's a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor. So listen, Bob, it's been 18 years in the waiting. What does Sloot's extradition now suggest to you?
Well, he's going to have to answer for the charges here, that he faces up to 50 years in prison. And if he's convicted, essentially, they're going to be putting him in jail for the rest of his life. He'll have to go back to Peru to finish his sentence there. When he's finished with that sentence, he comes back to the United States and finishes the wire fraud case in the United States. So essentially, it's going to be a life sentence for him if he's convicted. So they may not get him on the murder, but they're going to keep him in prison for the rest of his life.
Well, he's already serving, as we just, Jonathan just reported, 28 years for a different murder conviction. Then 11 years ago, he pleaded guilty to that killing and to the murder of Natalie Holloway. So could Sloot serve a longer sentence, already what you just spelled out for us? And will he serve some of that time in a U.S. prison?
Well, he hasn't pled guilty to the killing of Natalie Holloway. It was an unrelated killing in Peru where he's serving a 28-year sentence. So essentially what the Peruvian authorities have said was that, well, he can be extradited after he serves his sentence in Peru. But now they've shifted and said, you know what? Witnesses are getting older. The American justice system has a right to have the fraud charges adjudicated in the United States. So we're going to let him go to the United States. He's going to continue to serve his Peruvian sentence. They're going to allow the justice system in the United States to decide the fraud allegations against Natalie Holloway's mother. And if he's convicted, he will then, in the United States, he will then go back, I know it's kind of convoluted, to Peru to serve the sentence for the murder of the Peruvian woman. And then when he's done with that sentence, he'll be returned to the United States to serve the sentence for the conviction for the wire fraud and the fraud that he committed upon Natalie Holloway's mom. So that carries up to 50 years in the United States. He's got a 28-year sentence right now. So essentially, they're allowing the judicial process, Arthel, to occur here so that the conviction could potentially be secured without it being compromised because, you know, as we know as prosecutors, after many years, cases get weak, witnesses die, memories fade. So the Peruvian authorities have finally made a decision, no, let the American justice system adjudicate their case there. He comes back to Peru, serves his sentence, goes back to the United States after that to serve an additional sentence.
So wait a minute, are you telling me he will never face any sort of charges and possible conviction for the murder of Natalie Holloway?
That seems to be it. I mean, there could be, some people have opined that maybe the federal authorities have information that connects him to the death of Natalie Holloway, and this is kind of a ruse to get him over here. I don't buy into that. The Department of Justice would not entertain that kind of extradition with one of its partners. So from right now, there is no evidence anywhere right now. He has been obviously a person of interest, obviously has a lot of data and information, but he is not charged for that in the United States. He is charged with trying to defraud the mother by sickeningly saying to her, if you pay me money, I'll show you where the remains are.
Right. And Beth Holloway, the mother, she paid $25,000 up front for the information about the whereabouts of Natalie's remains. And he lied about that, you know,
yeah,
and as we know, unfortunately, Natalie's body was never found. But let me ask you, could he be legally forced to reimburse them?
That's what they're going to be seeking, of course. Whether or not they're going to get it, you have to have a practical matter. He's been in jail for a number of years. I'm sure he's not financially solvent to pay it. But nevertheless, in a fraud case, that would be something that the attorneys would ask. Yes. I don't know whether they'd be able. I doubt they'd be. Okay.
No, you go ahead. You doubt what?
Yeah, I doubt they'd be able to attach that to the family for his criminal conduct. I don't think that's what they're trying to do here. What they're trying to do here, the United States authorities, is get him convicted on this wire fraud and deception of the mother so that they can tack on additional years. It's kind of like the Al Capone thing, Arthel. They didn't get him on the murders. They didn't get him on racketeering. They got him on taxes. But the bottom line to the government was, we got him, and we put him in jail for the rest of his life. I think the same thing is going on here.
So basically, it seems like a criminal or a history of criminal behavior comes into play here.
I mean, this guy's just unbelievable. I mean, obviously, people can have their viewpoint on what happened with Natalie Holloway, and many believe that he was the person that did it. Whether you have the evidence to prove it's one thing. Then he kills the woman in Peru. There's allegations of drug trafficking in the jail, allegations that while he's in prison, he tried to harm the warden. And now he's got these allegations here in the United States where he's trying to sickeningly, like I said before, defraud the mother who's just looking for the remains of her daughter to be returned to her and to bring justice to her. So this guy's a piece of work as far as the criminal justice system is concerned. And you can be assured prosecutors are going to do whatever they can to get the most lengthy sentence. It may not be for the murder of Natalie Holloway, but on the fraud charges so they can keep him in for the rest of his life.
Well, hopefully that will bring some sort of solace and resolution to Beth Holloway and her family. It's a very sad situation, and it's been 18 years. She would be 36 years old. Unbelievable. Bob Bianchi, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank
Brian?
you.
A Marine